Rich Ortiz here with the fighter's voice, the only voice that matters. You have that fighter on you right now. You have that. Talk about Mexican Independence Day. We can call this Teddy Atlas here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You heard it from the champ himself, simply knocking out the competition. Not Rich Ortiz here with the fighter's voice, the only voice that matters. And like Eddie
Lopez, because Josh Taylor is
the 4th division world champion, Mikey Garcia. Everybody, I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of the Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And I'm like our guest, VP of Combate Global, Mike Afromowitz. We're simply knocking out the competition. We're going to go over Combate and tell everybody exactly what is in store for 2024. But who to hear it more from than the VP himself? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome our guest tonight, Mr. Mike Afromowitz. Welcome to the Fighter's Voice, Mike.
Thanks, Richard. It's good to be back, man. It's been a while.
It's been a while, and I've watched you, and I don't even know when you have time to breathe because you guys are constantly going over and over and over again, and your fighters are developing a world-class level, and, you know, every one of them, you can argue who is the face of Combate Global.
Well, I think, you know, like what we've seen like in the last year, a year and a half is a few stars emerge. You know, there's Christian Puas Perez. He's now 12-1. Ramiro Jimenez, who just won the Copa, the 2023 Copa Combate tournament. He beat 3 fighters in one night. He's now 10-0. We saw Lucero La Loba Acosta, who's fought in Fresno before.
Yes. And
Maritza Sanchez, who fought La Loba in Fresno as well. So that, you know, and there's a few after that, but I think those four, you know, starting with those four, I think that those are like the, you know, they're the budding stars of the organization. They've spent a lot of time there. I mean, Puas has been with us since he was 19 years old in a pro debut. You know, he's now built up a record. So, you know, he's beaten pretty much everybody we put in front of him. Same with Ramiro.
Exactly. You know, what I've watched your female fighters, not only do they got a career inside of the cage, I mean, God has blessed them with beauty, and they got a career outside of the cage, doing marketing, you name it, modeling, possibly even acting. I mean, stars are produced inside of the Combate cage.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's like there's definitely an opportunity to get noticed, you know, outside of La Jaula, which is our cage. You know, being in business with Univision, which has, you know, I mean, it's a 360-degree media company. It's a massive media company in the U.S. They've got linear, digital, radio platform to gain recognition on, and we've been putting our fighters like the four I mentioned on those platforms, and you know they're starting to get noticed by non-traditional or non-fight fans or non-avid fight fans.
You know, I've noticed that you are, if not the only one, that continues to go old school and have the per se the tournament where they put the gloves on for more than just one outing. I mean, you know, the tournament has gone. A lot of people would like to go back to that, but because of the injury, but they ask themselves, hey, who is the true warrior inside of the cage when you fight more than one night?
Sure. Yeah. No, it's grueling because, you know, you win a fight and you got to come back out 30 minutes later and fight another fight. And so this year we changed the format a little bit. We added a round to the quarterfinal stage so that the fighters could warm up a little bit because, you know, there was what we saw in past tournaments where, it was a 1-round fight, the quarterfinal as well as the semifinal fights. And fighters couldn't get warmed up fast enough in that one round of the quarterfinal. So we gave them 2 rounds starting this year. Or this past year, and then it went back to 1 round in the semis and a full 3-round fight in the championship, and we found that I think it paid off. I think the formula worked, and so you know we'll probably continue that way with the 2-round quarterfinal fights. We saw some really good fights and a lot of heart from all these fighters that fought this year on the 8 fighters that fought in the tournament. So it was a great night.
Well, you know what? I like the new form of, how can I say it, of advertisement you got. And I say it's in the form of your apparel. I mean, your new apparel line, my gosh, I've seen the soccer shirts, the gloves themselves, the hats, the all the gear. It's very colorful. It represents everybody's home country. the traditional colors, and where can we, us, the fans, the followers, and supporters, purchase that merchandise?
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to partner with a Latin American, fight focused gear and apparel company called Trust Fight Gear this past year. And so we co-branded all the merchandise, but the tracksuits, for example, I worked with our artists to design them. Same with the matching jerseys. So we really wanted everybody to be able to. We wanted to amplify, people's their heritage, and be able to wear it on their backs, literally. So we have branded tracksuits, jerseys that are country flag branded, country flag themed. We've got in this new line of backpacks that just came out like as the season ended. So all that stuff's going to be available this coming year on our store, as well as on Trust Fight Gear store, that they're in the process of building. They own another fight gear company called Danger, and that's actually for boxing, which I know you guys cover. And so Trust Fight Gear is their new. It's relatively new. That's for MMA. So they're just getting ramped up. But we started the partnership this past year, and we're going to continue it this coming year.
Yeah, I mean, you should put together your own fight gear and just call it Chingon Fight Gear.
Let me tell you something. I've got an idea. It's not called Chingon, but it's another buzzword.
Okay.
That's floating around in my mind a lot. And then I've got a plan, and I'd love the fighter's voice to be a part of it. I haven't hatched it yet. It's still coming to fruit. The idea is still coming. I haven't brought it a lot, to life yet, but I think this year I'm going to do it. And I think that it's going to be another platform that that amplifies the stories of these Hispanic fighters, no matter, regardless of where they fight, or when they fight. But it's gonna really give. I want to give create a community for this this demographic. That is worldwide. Spanish speakers, bilingual speakers, and so it's still I'm still formulating the plan, but I hope to be able to roll that out this year.
Well, I got a great plan just popping in my head right now, because earlier I was going to say, look, when I go cover those big events in Las Vegas, there's nothing like showing up to either a press conference, a weigh-in, or what have you. But I'm going to rock some Combate Global gear. I'm going to wear it where it's nice.
Right.
Or I could either wear it underneath my blazer, or it's going to be blasting when I get there. And then we're going to make one size medium, special, with the colors green, white, and red from Mexico. It's going to say Combate Global. And it's going to be a collaboration with the fighter's voice. And I'm going to make sure, I don't know if he'll put it on in front of me, but we hand that jacket to Canelo Alvarez on his next fight when he goes up to Las Vegas. Yeah. I'll do my best to get it to his people. Once he sees it, he's going to blast it.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah, would love to have him, be an honor to have him wear it. The Mexico flag theme, gear is hot. And it's we're going to be producing more this coming year. So you'll see some new items roll out, and I would love to have Canelo wear it, of course.
Yeah. We'll hand it to him. That's all we can do from there. I remember we handed Tyson Fury fighter's voice T-shirt. Now, what he wears on his time or not, that's okay. I had some artists like Regis Pro Gray. They'll tag me that they're wearing it. They're wearing it on their own time, or they'll just show up somewhere, not even tag me, and they're just wearing it. So, things like that do happen, and let's dream big together.
Yeah, absolutely. If they like it, they're going to wear it.
Absolutely.
Regardless of, if everybody likes a nice gift that looks good. So
absolutely.
So,
and we got on the subject because of branding, because of your advertisement. It's a form of advertisement, because it's going to look so good. These boxers are going to want to wear it. They're going to want to slightly cross over, and then the door's wide open.
Sure. Yeah. No, we'd love to bring some more boxers that are enthusiastic about MMA and open to MMA training into La Jaula. definitely not opposed to it and would love it. We'd embrace it. Just haven't found the right fighter yet. But hopefully we'll find another boxer that that we can bring in there.
Regis Prograis. He said before it's all said
Mhm.
and done, he wants to do some MMA. So just letting you
Really,
know that. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Absolutely.
Where is he now?
He's in New Orleans. He just lost his WBC
Mm,
bout to Devin Haney.
mm,
So he's back up the
mhm,
ladder. And it's crazy because sometimes when you lose a big bout, you think you go to the end of the line.
mm.
But his name's been brought up to the
Right,
likes of a possibly uh, an open fight with Jose Ramirez. His name's been brought up against Arnold
right,
Barboza. His name's been brought up against
right.
oh gosh, Rolly. So I mean, in this sport, when you put a good outing of yourself, or everybody wants to fight you, your name will continue to get brought up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's if you're charismatic, if you got the right skills, and people like to watch you, your career's not done, or you're not going to the back of the line with a loss. I mean, you're still going to be up there, and that holds true in MMA. It's like you see the records of fighters. It's very different from boxing,
Very different.
But there are fighters that, like, if look at Nate Diaz, for example. I mean,
Exactly.
he
He comes to
was
mind when you mention records.
not, yeah. It's not, yeah, he didn't have a huge record, but people don't want to miss him. They want to, they can't get enough of him. So he's got that mystique, and he's got a fun fight style, and so a loss here, a loss there, it doesn't matter.
No, Magdavall. A lot of people, honestly, Mike, when the fighters get introduced, unless you got like the Bones Joneses out there, they don't
Mm-hmm.
listen to the record. They don't pay attention to the record. They're watching every move Nate is doing inside of the cage. What's he doing? Is he doing? Is he giving anything away?
Yeah.
His vision, his look. That's what people are looking
Mm-hmm.
at now, especially in MMA. It's a whole different respect because you got to respect
Mm-hmm.
any man that walks through that cage and when that door gets shut.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very competitive. The fighters have they've just gotten so much better, even in the last, like, if you compare them to, like, the Strikeforce era. I mean, they're so good now. They've just, the evolution of the sport continues, and I mean the difference between now, from 2010 to now. I mean, it's just, it's levels up. I mean, and people forget how young the sport really is, and compared to boxing, it's a baby. So it's just going to keep, the fighters are going to keep getting better, I think.
I was going to ask you, what professional boxer do you think would do well in the cage? But I'm going to flip it. What cage fighter do you
Mhm.
think will do well in the boxing ring, as we were showed 100% in the heavyweight division on Tyson Fury's last fight?
Right. I don't know, to be honest. It's like, with the heavyweights, they the strength and their powers, is a lot different than the fighters in the smaller weight classes. I mean, Combate's always been focused on the between, like, 135 and 155, even 170 now is our sweet spot. We have some good 125s, but I don't know. I can't name any single one in Combate that would be a great boxer, because it's so different. Everything from the stance to the footwork, and it's just so different. I didn't watch that fight with Fury, but I saw the punch. I mean, the guy is the guy's a monster. I mean, they're both monsters, and you get hit, with one of those shots, and anything can happen in heavyweight boxing. And but everything, in boxing, it's like it's just different, the mechanics, and it's very hard for an MMA fighter at any level really to cross over. It just is, and people think it's the same thing, or um, people who aren't avid fans and paying attention to every detail, and the mechanics of the sports, are not, they see it maybe as the same thing, because, or like, they see boxing is a part of MMA, or punching is, if you can punch in MMA, then you can punch in boxing. It's just not true, and it's hard to, it's really hard to cross over. That's the way I feel. Now that I've actually seen it, I've seen it happen, and I wouldn't want any of our fighters to cross over into boxing, just because it's not what they do. Look, if a big money fight came along, I'd, you know, depending on the fighter, I'd encourage them to take it. But I mean, it's a huge risk in terms of being susceptible to the punishment from a real boxer. So I don't know. I'd like to see some another boxer though cross over into MMA, because I think that it's still it's very different, but the boxer's punch is just so powerful that it's always it gets at least me curious about what that fighter could do in MMA, even with one weapon, but it's a big weapon. So that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, that's a very physical transition to ask any man to
Yeah.
perform. It's a lot of people say, well, these rugby players be great NFL players, and it's still a tough transition.
I mean, Kayla Racho in Combate does it, and she's super tough. It's just it's not something that I would advocate, on a across the board. You gotta really look at like, what you're gonna get out of it. I mean, at the end of the day, if it's something you want to try once, pro boxing, then okay, but it depends on the opponents and who's making the fight and why they're making the fight. It's like you don't want to send your fighters in there to get set up by but to fight a boxer that that a promoter's trying to bring up. It's like we got to protect our fighters.
Absolutely. If we have a first-time viewer that's also making the transition of watching Combate Global for the very first time, what fight would you recommend they watch to make sure that it not only draws them in, they're hooked, and we're talking about possibly the candidates for 2023 Fight of the Year? What would you suggest? What bout took place in 2023 that we can recommend to a first-time viewer?
Honestly, I would take the Copa Combate tournament, show them the tournament. Just I'd send them the file that I have right on my desktop with that tournament, and say, watch it, sit down. I mean, that's mucha más acción. That's what we do. That tournament is all go, 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 go. There's no resting. I mean, you got a short time to make it happen, and you want to you don't want to use up too much energy in the first two stages, so you try to get the job done quickly, and hopefully get to the championship stage, which is a full three round fight. But I would show them the tournament, because I think the tournament really it kind of, I don't want to say defines us, but it it amplifies what Combate really is, and the warrior spirit that our fighters have. So I would point to the tournament. If I had to show them another fight, I'd probably pick Christian Puas Perez against Bruno Canetti. That was a brutal fight. Puas handled his business really well that night. But I would show him the tournament.
You're walking down the streets right now, and you got to go take care of business, Mike. You've been asked to lace them up, man, and you got to go. You got to look at this guy square in the eye, and you got to go take care of business. So he brought two of his buddies with you. So which two buddies are you taking with you with Combate Global?
Which two? I don't follow.
What two fighters would you take with you to go take care of business with you? But they're just badasses. They may not even have to throw a punch, but if it had to get down, I want these guys with me, or females.
Yeah, I'd say Puas and Ramiro, since they're friends anyway. They know each other, and they both know me. So I'm taking both those guys: Christian Puas Perez, Ramiro Jimenez. Let's go.
There you go. There you go. You're ready to go. It's always knowing that you can go to your go-to. You know what I mean? It's like a basketball player. Okay, my layups can work here, but I got my go-to. I'm going to go right out the board all the time. That's my go-to. And knowing that you can do it in this business, inside the cage and outside of the cage. What can we expect in 2024? What can you release to the public?
I think we're going to continue to see, the names that I mentioned: Christian Puas Perez, Ramiro Jimenez, La Loba, Acosta, Maritza Sanchez. And we're going to see some other of the newer fighters. But what I'm trying to do in 2024 is, look, we're going to produce a minimum of 24 events. Most will be inside the studio on Univision's campus in Miami. However, I'm looking to bring Combate back out to arenas this year. Now that well, the pandemic is, I don't want to say it's gone, but it's, we know as a society now how to handle COVID.
Yes.
So the studio was created in Miami because of COVID, and with the intent to protect all the fighters and the staff. But now, we've gotten comfortable there in 2021, 2022 with 2022 we started opening it up to a studio audience, and all throughout last year we had a studio audience in 2023. But this year I want to go back out into the to different certain markets and produce arena events in addition to the studio shows. The studio's phenomenal. It's great. It's a one of a kind experience for the fans that do get to see it inside, as part of the studio audience. However, I think it's important also to go out there and, on a grassroots level and touch local fans and, in different markets that, that might be watching us on Univision. And I want to get back out there. I'm eager to do it. It's gonna be a challenge because we have a lot of shows, so there's not a lot of time to focus on those. But with the time I have, I want to go into certain markets, for say 4 to 6 events this year. We actually ended the past year. Our third to last show was, or maybe it was in November. We went to Colombia. We went back out there
Wow.
for the first time, to Bogota. I personally went out there and we did a co-promotion with a promoter there, in order to bring Combate back out to an arena for the first time since before the pandemic. And it was great. It was awesome to be back out in an arena with fans. So I think both, there's a mix of the formats are great. Studio shows with arena shows. We can't do all arena shows. It's impossible. For a company our size to do 24 arena shows would be, it's not sustainable. So I do want to get out there. I want to do 4 to 6 arena shows, and in addition to the 18 to 20 studio shows that we do in Miami.
Is there any sites that are locked in yet, or what's on your demographic?
Mm-hmm.
What's on the ideas? What's hitting your mind? Can we give the followers a hint
Mm-hmm.
of where you might
In
be stopping by?
discussions, I'm in discussions with a site in the Northwest as well as one in the Northeast. I have a couple of more conversations about going back down south. For the first time since before the pandemic. So I'm hoping that with all these conversations, 4 to 6 arena events materialize. I hopefully should have more information in the next coming weeks. Hopefully I make some progress this week and next week, and I can at least confirm verbally, the arenas. But I'll tell you one thing: what we are doing is, aside from our own shows, we're going to send a couple fighters to Japan, to Tokyo, next month, to compete under shootboxing rules. And the Shootboxing Federation in Japan has invited us to send 2 fighters there. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we're working on confirming those fighters, and hopefully it'll be a good experience, and it'll get them warm for the rest of our 2024 season. But it will be under shootboxing rules.
When it's very well justified, when it says Combate Global, that's exactly what that is, global.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. And that's, I think that's a more fitting name, that, considers the entire world, which is what we're really, looking at. We're looking for the best new talent in the world. That also talent that speaks to the Spanish speaking audience globally. Because we want to be the number 2 sport to soccer and amongst Spanish, amongst Spanish speaking fans worldwide.
What I've failed to mention on the top of the show is, Mike, you're our first guest for 2024.
Oh wow, nice. Well,
Yep.
that's an honor. Thank you for thinking of me and making me that first guest. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
New Year is
What other
just
person to
beginning.
start us
Yeah.
off?
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's great to be back on, and you see your show growing and progressing, and happy to help out any way I can. But thank you for having me on as the first guest.
Absolutely. And we got to get some of those guests that we spoke about on Twitter, and
Mm-hmm.
after the show we'll,
For
we'll
sure.
we'll get a lineup, and we'll at least make sure that we take care of them, because I do want to hear their stories. There's nothing like hearing the story from a man who laces them up, or woman puts the mouthpiece on, and
Mm-hmm.
hey, toe to toe action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to have some, some of the fighters where, we've been working with, on raising their profiles, on the Fighter's Voice for
Abs-
sure.
Absolutely. What are some of the sponsors that help you along the way? Any you care to mention that you're
We're
collaborating
working
with?
on several, but Trust Fight Gear, which I mentioned, is
Trust
is
Fight Gear.
really important to us because it's it was founded and it's owned by a trio of Hispanic entrepreneurs, and I think they're going to do some great things. We're working on some new sponsors now for and this feels like actually like we were operating before the pandemic, where we were actually talking to sponsors now. We started to do that last year. Univision was mostly, doing it in the prior years, but we're doing it now more, to create some interactive experiences with fans and give sponsors an opportunity to, amplify their visibility, with the Spanish-speaking audience. We worked with Conor McGregor's beer company, Forged Irish Stout, at the end of the year. I don't know if you caught that, but we did an event with them, Ireland versus Mexico. We're working with like I mentioned, Trust Fight Gear, and we're working with a law firm now, that's their personal injury. It's called Sweet James, and we actually just we recently completed the production of a TV spot for them with
Oh,
the
nice.
actress Kate Del Castillo, who you might know. She's world famous, but a Mexican actress that's she's got uh, you know uh, she she's got an incredible resume. You might have seen her in the movie Bad Boys for Life, but she's the star on La Reina del Sur, which is Telemundo's hit series. So she's actually in their spot. Um, and so we're working with them, and we're working on a few other opportunities too. But those are the few right now that are in our portfolio.
Well, I know a wonderful, beautiful singer. If you ever need the national anthem done, ever,
Hmm.
Janet Uribe. Awesome,
Okay.
excellent artist. I'll have to send you her
Okay.
information in her work
Sure.
as well. It's always good to have some
Yeah, we'd
more.
love to take a look.
Yeah, hey, it's always good to have some
Good.
extra people in your repertoire. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you never have too many talented people.
No, your Combate Global, it continues to grow. It continues to
Hmm.
prosper, and it's slowly. I want to say the word taking over, because it's not an addition side by
Hmm.
side. You're
Hmm.
doing things that
Hmm.
other other events and other promoters wish they can do, but you're
Hmm.
doing it.
Hmm.
You're locked in. First of all, you're locked into a network, which is key on the big fights,
Hmm.
and you're progressing. If you look back right now at your first 2021, when I believe that
Hmm.
was with your contract with Univision, how have you progressed, and where do you see yourself at the end of 2024?
Well, what happened in 2021 was at the beginning, Univision purchased an equity stake in the company. Their new owner, Wade Davis, who's like a mogul in the media business. He was the ex CFO of Viacom. He was the one that supported Bellator all those years. But when he left, he bought Univision. There was a deal made, and Univision purchased a large stake in the company. And since then the relationship has changed. It's a very different company than it was prior to 2000, prior to the pandemic, when we were on Univision, but it was different. They didn't have skin in the game. Now they've got skin in the game, and it's all about putting our fighters on their various platforms that they have, and they have many. So the opportunities to amplify our fighters that we're working to build into stars has there's a multiple of them now compared to what there was pre-pandemic. So I think at the end of 2024, what you're going to see is a small handful, creating a star is never easy. We have over 160 fighters on the roster, but I think you can see a small handful emerge as like, as real stars that you can feel comfortable calling them as such. I think that's what we're going to see by the end of the year, and I hope sooner. But what I'm trying to do now is I want to amplify these fighters on all Univision's platforms, but also I want to take them around the world to we'll challenge anyone. We'll fight anyone. It's like you want to put let's bring Puas and do a cross promotion with Ryzen in Japan. Do the same thing with Ramiro Jimenez, who just won the Copa. Let's do it. We've done it before with Ryzen. We sent Claire Lopez there twice in 2023. She fought and she beat Rina Kubata, the shootboxing star from Japan. She beat him in Ryzen's ring in front of 12,000 fans. So we can do that. I'm willing to put up. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Let's have them fight. Let's have Puas fight the best lightweight in Ryzen. Let's have Miro fight the best featherweight in Ryzen. I'll take them to Thailand too. We can fight there. We'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, and let's see who comes out on top. A lot of, some promoters, maybe they don't want to, risk, their star or this and that. And it's like, I'm willing to do it. That's how much I believe in, the fighters that I've been talking about on the show. I believe they can fight with the best, anywhere, It doesn't have to be, it could be in, overseas. We'll go, we'll do it.
Any type of the world that's ready to lace them up, you're ready to go. That's what it sounds like to me. And for the fighters that hear their name called in these potential big events, that got to make them feel special. That got to make them just stay motivated, as if to say, hey, he believes in me, so I'm going to continue to believe in what I'm doing and believe in this company as well as Mr. Mike and Afromowitz.
Yeah, no, I hope so, because we believe in them. We've invested a lot of time and effort into them, and we're going to continue to do that. And like I said, I have I'm in touch with promoters everywhere. All the promoters should be talking anyway to make the best fights. But, I'm in touch all the time with promoters and seeking out the best opportunities. So the fighters, like the two fighters we're going to send to Japan for the shootboxing event, it's like those are, they'll be newer fighters, not fighters that are, have the records of a Puas or an Amito. But they're, let's establish them now. These are, so we're going to select the best two fighters for those spots, and they're going to represent Combate in Japan on February 10th. And I have confidence they'll deliver, and we'll be able to see what's next after that. Hopefully, some other doors are open, and we can challenge fighters, in Ryzen. Let's have them fight in Ryzen. So I have a pretty good idea of who the two fighters will be, but it's not 100% done yet, so I don't want to say anything. But I'll give you the scoop once I have it.
Sounds good. Will we see any more super fights like we did with Tito Ortiz back in the cage?
Anything is possible. If the right, if the right fighter comes along, I haven't, I don't see one right, just looking straight ahead. I think we got to concentrate on the new blood that we've been developing. But if a fight, a fighter or a fight comes along that's worthy of a super fight, we can do it. Yeah, sure. We can do it. I'll tell you this Joey Mendez that came along this past year in 2023. He's interesting. I don't know if you caught that, but he's a star on 9 consecutive seasons of MTV LATAM's Acapulco Shore, which is the equivalent of the Jersey Shore on MTV in America. And he essentially is, he's sort of like a Spanish Jake Paul in a way. He brought a lot more to the Laula than I thought he would. I didn't know what to expect, but he's a real fighter. He's got a lot of heart, so I'm hoping we see him back in there. I'm not saying he's not. It's not on the level of Tito in the sense that he doesn't have their experience, but he brings a different audience. To Combate, and I think he just brings a different energy. It's somebody that's a star on another TV show, and in a sense, some of our younger fighters could look up to him, and I think he's good for the organization. So that's a fighter, outside of, the sort of like the nucleus of Combate that I'm looking at for 2024. And I had one other came across, on my desk. Actually, it was yesterday, so I'm looking into that as well. Some of these influencers that want to fight, if they've got the heart and the desire to come fight us, why not? I mean, if they're really gonna do it, I wasn't sure what to expect of Jowie, but I mean, he had as much as much guts as any fighter that's been putting years into the sport. I mean, he really is passionate about it, and he trained for it. So why not do it?
Well, what about Big Boy from Cartel? The when I say Cartel, the weightlifter. He called out Tito Ortiz. I had him on the show last year, and he called out Tito Ortiz.
Mhm.
Ortiz responded in video,
Yeah.
and they kind of went back and forth. They just never materialized.
Right. I don't know much about him. I've heard the name. It's not something we'd really get into. We're gonna focus really on the fighters that, like I mentioned, as well as like if Jowie wants to come back. If I see somebody like that, then we might bring them in. But we're gonna stick this year to our core business and continue to build up these fighters. And like I said, we'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime around the world. In addition to fighting in La Jaula.
Well, Mike, you know what? You always been very informative. I appreciate the fact that you tipped your hat, so to speak, on what to look for 2024. Even some ideas, that you do got coming up here. Hey, brother, this is always your platform. This is
Thank you.
Combate Global's platform. Whenever there's news to break, or just have your fighters come up on here and share with the world and the viewers, their take on not just fighting, but, life. Because a lot of times our guests, they'll talk about life as well as the sport that they participate in and, that they make a living doing. And that's what we want to bring the listeners and the viewers and the fans and the supporters, the whole nine. When you say global, we want their life to be global as far as everything that they share with the world.
Sure. Well, happy to send some fighters your way. And like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'd love to come back soon.
Hey man, it's always a pleasure. Anybody out there you want to give a shout out to or say hello to or anything we might have missed right now, Mike, the platform is yours.
I'll give a shout out to Cameron McLaren, our CEO, El Jefe. If none of this would be possible if he hadn't, come up with the idea and we hadn't met, 10 years ago, or 11 years ago. It's that long. But yeah, I want to give him a shout out, and I'll be seeing him soon.
Yeah, we got to actually book him on the show. He loves to talk. He's
the
gift of the gat.
Yeah, you better bring your A game when you have him on.
Oh, absolutely. I love the challenge. That's great. Of course, iron sharpens iron, my man.
That's right.
So when we shut down right here, we're going to do our shutdown, but hold on a few seconds. I just want to have a few words with you. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And you have not subscribed yet, please do so. www.youtube.com/thefightersvoice. Remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. Now, if you would like to be part of the 2024 team of The Fighter's Voice and you're a sponsor and you want your brand out here and you want to use this platform to promote your brand, hey, we're the team, and we welcome you to our team. Just get a hold of us, and we're always open for business. As always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember,
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.